At number 10 we have Clinton Road. Alright, we're gonna kick off this list with New Jersey, as if they didn't already have enough to worry about. I mean, I think the cast of the Jersey Shore is still running feral through the streets. Well, this road has a whole bunch of bad juju surrounding it. There's a ton of ghost stuff going on over here. People have been performing satanic rituals in the forest surrounding the road. That's one thing that's going on. They should put up one of those crossing signs that they have for animals, but then replace it with an assortment of demons. You don't want to be driving down the road and then hit a hellspawn at 60 miles per hour. It's probably going to do some major damage to your car, and I'm pretty sure your insurance won't cover it. On top of that, there's a turn called Dead Man's Curve that has apparently claimed the lives of many people. And if you manage to make it past that curve without spinning out like you hit a banana in Mario Kart, then you're gonna come to the Ghost Boy Bridge, where you can throw a coin off the bridge into the stream and a ghost boy will huck it back right at your face. Well, we should get more of those ghost boys out there. Throw them out into the ocean. They should be throwing garbage back at people. Number 9. The Zoji Pass in India. Have you ever driven over a bridge and been like, holy crap, we're really high up? But thank God there's guard railings and traffic lights and proper traffic markings on the road, and it's not on the side of the mountain, and one wrong turn won't lead to me tumbling to my death. Well, the Zoji Pass in India is all these things and more. The Zoji Pass in India is the second highest pass in the whole world. It sits at 3,528 meters of elevation, so if you fall off this road, it's enough to kill you like 3,000 times over. It's also extremely important because it connects the people of an isolated city called Ladakh to the rest of the world. Imagine if you live in Ladakh and you're like, I gotta catch a flight, so I gotta make this extremely dangerous journey across this mountain trail. At least if you can do that, you're probably not afraid of flying. Number 8. Dalton Highway, Alaska. If you grew up anywhere secluded with a harsh winter, then you probably know what it's like to take a long drive through snow-covered roads. Well, this is like that, but 1,000 times more. The Dalton Highway is in Alaska, and it starts right off the Elliott Highway and spans 667 kilometers. Most of the road is covered with ice year-round, and it's riddled with potholes. This road also passes through the middle of nowhere, so if your car breaks down along the way, you kind of have two options: freeze to death or get eaten by wolves. Also, there's winds along this road that are so strong they'll pick up rocks and throw them at your car, only increasing your chance of becoming some Wolverine's brunch. If you weren't convinced about how you should never drive along this long stretch of road, here's something else for you. The road ends in a place called Deadhorse, which is near the Arctic. I can only imagine this town got its name from back in the day when you would ride your horse up there and soon after your horse would die. You'll never catch me on this stretch of land, I bet it. I would sooner get into an Uber with the wrong license plate. Number 7. The GUOLIANG Tunnel Road in China. This road is kind of a marvel of craftsmanship and necessity. The road is carved through a mountain in China by the people of the Luoyang village. They were cut off from the rest of the world, so they decided to blast their way through a mountain so they could get to the nearest Starbucks. What makes this road so dangerous is it's under constant construction, and because parts of the road actually pass through the mountain, there's always a chance that part of the tunnel could collapse on you and crush you to death. Number 6. The TIANMEN Mountain Road in China. This one literally looks like a final track from Mario Kart. Just imagining all the twists and turns could give someone motion sickness. The TIANMEN Road in China is something that looks like a rally car driver's wet dreams with 99 ultra tight turns on a very thin road. You can't even take your eyes off the road for a second because the lanes are so close and tight together that it would definitely lead to you smashing into some oncoming traffic. Not to mention the massive elevation change that you go through from bottom to top. There's an 1,100 meter elevation change. How many times would you have to pop your ears? There are some protective barriers along the road, but with how tight and twisty everything is, and how high the mountain is, and how close you are to the side, it wouldn't take much for you and your car to take a one-way bungee jump off the side of the mountain. Number 5. EYRE Highway, Australia. This road seems like it has all the makings of a perfectly safe road. There's no problem with potholes or any kind of maintenance. The road doesn't have a lot of twists and turns. It doesn't even cross over any sort of natural risk like a massive sandstorm or massive thunderstorm. But just like your parents telling you that you're going to Disney World and then they take you to the dentist, this road is full of deceit. The road stretches for 1,675 kilometers through one of the most remote areas of Australia. So if you encounter any sort of car trouble, I hope you brought loads of water and you know how to use a rattlesnake as a socket wrench, because it's going to be a while before anyone comes to help you. On top of that, the road is so straight and featureless that people often veer off the road into ditches or into oncoming traffic. There's so little going on that it lulls you to sleep and then you crunch into an oncoming pickup. This road bores you to death. So many people have met their gruesome end by numbing boredom that the road has been nicknamed Slaughter Valley. Number 4. North Yungas Road in Bolivia. I don't even know if you can call this one a road. It's more like a path or some open space someone just threw asphalt on 30 years ago. The road mostly hugs the mountainside of the North Yungas region in Bolivia. And with me just glossing over how dangerous the area is, with rebels and small wars constantly being waged in the area, the road is a complete mess with zero forms of safety precautions. Most of it isn't paved at all, and the parts that are paved have giant cracks and potholes in them. It's a normal occurrence for entire buses to roll over the road and tumble down into the jungle below. It's been given the nickname Death Road for good reason. There are crosses and grave markings all along the side of this strip symbolizing where people have met their end. Why are people still driving on a road after it's called Death Road? Number 3. HALSEMA Highway in the Philippines. The Philippines is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. Lush jungles, beautiful beaches, magnificent mountains. But if you want to see all the amazing scenery, it might cost you. And by that I mean you might die. The HALSEMA Highway in the Philippines goes up to one of the biggest tourist attractions in the country. The road going up, however, is not as nice to look at as it's extremely narrow and there are constantly speeding tour buses rushing up and down the mountain. Head-on collision is commonplace on this road. At least that's all the problems. Well, that's all of your problems if you're traveling in the summer. If you try to go up there any other time of year, nature will make sure you suffer along the way. You could get hit by a dense fog, falling rocks, monsoon rains, mudslides, all of which could push your car off the road and send you falling down the 2,000-meter fall. Hey, but if you make it to the top, it's gonna look great for your Instagram. Number 2. Jalalabad, Kabul, Afghanistan. This one is kind of like Mad Max with no guns. The Jalalabad-Kabul road in Afghanistan passes over the Kabul Gorge and is at 600 meters of elevation. We've had roads much higher than this on this list already, but what makes this road so much more dangerous is the massive haul trucks that are constantly driving on the road for transportation. Because of this, drivers get extremely reckless and are constantly trying to pass these trucks on an extremely narrow road, a road that can barely fit 2 of these trucks side by side. So you have massive trucks zooming by, with people driving like maniacs on a little tiny road, all slapped on the side of the mountain where one wrong move could leave you tumbling into a gorge. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the road passes through Taliban controlled areas. So at the beginning when I said this is like Mad Max without the guns, I actually meant it's just like Mad Max. And number 1 on this list is the KARAKORAM highway from China to Pakistan. Now we've got a massive international highway that passes through some of the harshest conditions you can come across. The KARAKORAM highway is one of the most elevated paved international highways in the world. It maxes out at 4,693 meters. That's 15,397 feet, baby. The road is so high that many drivers crash because they start suffering from altitude sickness while they're behind the wheel. The road is so high up and the air is so thin that it's literally too thin to breathe. It's like, remember, put your hands at 10 and 2 and always keep your oxygen mask on. The road also passes through several mountains and canyons with brutal conditions. Everything from sandstorms, blizzards to floods. It's like living in the movie 2012 all packed into a family road trip. And if that was enough, because the road is so long and passes through so many deserted areas, bandits will wait for you to come by so they can jack your car. Okay, I lied before. This road is like Mad Max.
Starting off at number 10 now, we have Bloodspoint Road. This road in Illinois has a history involving murders, accidents, suicides, and even witchcraft. A lot of this seems to focus around the bridge at the end of the road. Apparently, if you follow it along towards the cemetery there at the end, you'll find the bridge above the train tracks. It's said that a school bus full of children once flew off the side of the bridge, killing all of the passengers on board. Now they say this tragedy manifests itself today by cars being pushed across the bridge even when parked in neutral, whistling coming from the graveyard, and a traffic light that always changes location.
At number 9 we have Skipper's Canyon Road in New Zealand. Now for this list, I'm kind of reaching into two categories. The first one being roads that are super haunted and have all sorts of ghouls running around trying to eat your face and steal your spark plug. And the second being roads that are so dangerous they're pretty much cursed because you have a good chance of dying while you're driving on them. And this one is the latter. Skipper's Road is one of the most dangerous roads on the planet. It's constantly falling apart with potholes that are big enough to fit a person into them. It's extremely narrow. There are sections of this road that are so tight 2 cars can't pass each other. If you meet another car, it's a game of chicken of who's gonna back up first. There's almost zero safety railings, and on top of this, the road is carved into the side of a mountain. At number 8, we have Route 2A in Maine. So the next one is the best of both worlds. It's an extremely dangerous road with ghosts running amok. This road has been the end of many truckers. The roads get so icy and the lack of lights and railings mean you could drive right off into a ditch. There have been sightings of a ghost lady who walks up and down the highway begging for someone to help save her husband. At number 7, we have Patio Polo Paradakaki Road in Greece. Alright, the next one, we're going to head over to the country where the gods of Olympus themselves were conceived. This road in Greece is something you all should avoid unless you have the craving to meet a semi at 50 miles an hour head on. This road has a lot of crap to deal with. First, there's pretty much everything on it. Cars, trucks, semis, people, animals. It's a giant death fiesta. Second, there's a massive elevation change, around 500 meters. This is gonna pop the hell out of your ears. Next, there's no road markings, no lines, no crosswalks. People driving at night often drive off the road to their death. And finally, the road is in as bad condition as an NFL running back's brain after a 14-year career. At number 6, we have Mona Lisa Drive in New Orleans. Alright, we have a bit of an urban legend on this one. So legend has it that there was this beautiful girl who fell in love with a sailor boy, and then the two started having premarital sex. My God, who would do such a thing? The young girl's father then killed her for this floozy behavior, and now she walks up and down the road haunting young couples. Jealous much? At number 5, we have Luxor Al HURGHADA Road in Egypt. Now we're gonna jet all the way over to Egypt and go through the checklist of problems that this road has with it. So the Luxor Al HURGHADA Road is poorly maintained, which is kind of a given if you want to make it onto this list. On top of that, there's some stretches that are in some pretty busy cities, but then they go into some very remote places. Which means if anything happened to your car, you would be stuck baking in an Egyptian desert. And that's going to be in the middle of nowhere where someone's probably not going to come help you. And if dying from dehydration in a sandy wasteland wasn't enough, you could also come in contact with terrorists and bandits who are trying to rob you for everything you're worth. Now that has to be everything, right? But wait, there's more! So let's say you have the bright idea of driving at night. So if your car breaks down, you won't be stuck in the sun, and so the bandits won't see you. Well, this is a terrible idea, because people will often drive this road with no headlights because they're afraid of getting hijacked, which means the chances of you having a head-on collision go up about tenfold. At number 4, we have Shades of Death Road, New Jersey. I don't think you need any more warnings. The road is called Shades of Death. That's like if there was a dog named Castrator because he bit off people's balls. There's a bunch of rumors as to how this lovely road in New Jersey got its wonderful name. Some people say it's because the road is just dangerous and people crash there a lot. Other people say that bandits would hide there and murder people for sport and loot. I even heard that there was a malaria outbreak in a village next to the road. So maybe next time you want to drive down this road, you should just take the long way around instead of taking it, unless you want mosquito herpes. Maybe next time instead of taking this road, just take the long way around, unless you're keen on getting mosquito herpes. At number 3, we have the TUEN Road, Hong Kong. Really, the surprising thing about this road is it's a pretty nice road. It was built by the British and has been really well maintained. Maybe the road is just so perfect that it drives people crazy and they jump out of their cars when they're on the highway. Or is it a hot spot for earthquakes and other natural disasters? No, it's actually much creepier than that. The TUEN Road is a hot spot for ghost sightings. People driving will see ghosts just pop out like whack-a-mole. Ghosts appear out of nowhere and then scare the hell out of unsuspecting drivers. This will cause people to freak out and crash into each other. The ghosts on the bridge are literally directing traffic into each other. They're probably just lonely and they want more ghost friends to hang out with. They're like, hey, you're dead now, I'm dead, let's be friends and play this game called Cargo Smash Smash. At number 2, we have Screaming Tunnel, Niagara, Ontario. Now this place sounds like a great date spot. So the legend of the Screaming Tunnel goes, if you're driving through and you decide to light a match, maybe you're smoking a cigar, or you're trying to impersonate Scarface, well, you're in for a wonderful surprise. The match will go out and then you'll be welcomed by the scream of a girl who is being murdered. Yeah, no thanks. I'm gonna continue my life screamless. The only screams I want to hear is when Whitney Houston hits the high notes in I Will Always Love You. At number 1, you have the Stockbridge bypass. Alright, we're gonna top off this list with something that's pretty spooky if I do say so myself. The Stockbridge bypass death tolls only around 25 people. Now that might not seem like a lot. Many of the roads on this list have killed way more people. You're probably wondering, Che, why did you pick this for the number 1 spot? Well, many people on this road have died not in a car crash, but they were found dead in their car. Some of the drivers seem like they veered off the road out of nowhere. So what's causing these spooky deaths? Well, it could be the ghost monk who is said to walk up and down the road attacking people. It couldn't just be a regular ghost. It had to be a monk ghost. Like he might know kung fu. I don't know what kind of monk he is. He might have a martial arts spirit or spirit martial art. Some sort of ghost fighting thing. Or the reason the people could be dying is because they're distracted by the laughs of ghostly children that will creep out of nowhere even when there's no children around. Yeah, ghost kids always moves you up the list. Number 10. Passage de GOIS in France. Why would you go to France? Because it's romantic and you can eat your body weight in cheese. And what would be more romantic than taking a scenic drive from the mainland over the ocean to a beautiful island? Oh my god, it sounds like the end of a rom-com starring Matthew McConaughey. Until you get stuck in the middle of the ocean. Le Passage de GOIS is a lovely little road that is a connection between mainland France and the secluded island of Noirmoutier. It's a little over 4 clicks and it passes right over the ocean, and for whatever reason they didn't build the road high enough to deal with the changing tides. So if you decide to make this journey at the wrong time of day, the ocean will sweep your car into the blue and you'll turn your romantic French honeymoon into you and your fiance yelling Wilson out of volleyball. To make the road sound even more pleasant, it's even dangerous to drive while the tide is down, because the ocean is constantly glazing the road in sea gunk, making it super slippery. So even if you make the drive at the right time, you still might hit some seaweed and spin out like Mario Kart.
At number 9 now, we have the Dark Hedges. You can find this road in County Antrim, Northern Ireland. It's often been described as hauntingly beautiful, a country road lined with old twisted beech trees. People say there's an old ghostly figure of a woman in a dress who glides along the road and then disappears when she passes the last beech tree. They say she's the ghost of a maid from the nearby manor who died in mysterious circumstances hundreds of years ago, or perhaps a wandering spirit from the nearby abandoned graveyard. Next up at number 8 now, we have Sweet Hollow Road. This one is steeped in folklore. The road is found in Huntington, New York, and leads to the equally talked about Mount Misery Road. That's actually its real name. The stories from this place date back hundreds of years. Some people say that Native American tribes there considered it to be a cursed area. The winding road is nearby to an old burned down mental asylum from the 1700s, and some say the tormented spirits from there will often wander out into the road and terrify motorists at night. There's also the legend of the woman who died in a terrible car crash many years ago. Apparently if you park your car under the overpass there and leave it in neutral, her ghostly hands will push your car up the hill. A strong ghost, I guess, the best kind. Okay, next up at number 7 now, we have Zombie Road. Now that's not its real name, that really would be terrifying. It's actually called Lawler Ford Road and winds on for about 2 miles in the thick woods of Missouri. The road is closed to the public half an hour after the sun goes down. Some people say that's actually for your own protection. The road runs near the largest Native American burial mound in America. People say their spirits haunt the road at night, as well as the Confederate soldiers from the Civil War. The trail is completely black at night. There's no lights because you're not actually supposed to be there. This hasn't stopped people though over the years. Every year dozens of people get tickets there for trespassing. The tickets even say Zombie Road on them. So yeah, maybe there is some truth to the whole thing. Coming at number 6 now, we have Shades of Death Road. Now this one really is the name of this road. Shades of Death Road runs through Warren County, New Jersey along Ghost Lake. Again, That's its real name. The road is famous for sightings of the prom girl. The story goes that years ago, a car of teenagers were driving down the road after a prom. The road was slippery that night, and on one of the winding turns, the driver lost control of the car and crashed into a ditch. A girl died, and people say that even now on a slippery dark night, you can see the girl standing by the side of the road, still wearing her torn up prom dress. Next up at number 5 now, we have Highway 666. You've heard of Route 66, right? Well, that famous road has another road that branches off at its 6th junction called Highway 666. As you might expect, many people have reported strange happenings on that road. There have been reports of flaming trucks that speed towards motorists, forcing them off the road and then just disappearing into thin air. There's been so many crashes on this road that people attribute to the satanic name that its name was actually changed in 2003 to Route 491. Some say that wasn't enough though, and that the curse still remains. And next up at number 4 now, we have Clinton Road. This road lies not too far from New York, and many people are aware of the creepy stories from people who have traveled it at night. It cuts through 10 miles of New Jersey, and some say it's actually the scariest road in America. Stories involve the usual ghosts and satanic cults, but also unique ones such as the Jersey Devil, who people say stalks the old road there. There's also the story of the black truck. The vehicle apparently pulls up behind people at night, flashes its lights, and then disappears into the darkness without a trace. Add to that the stories of UFOs, lights on the nearby water, and snow in July, and it's no surprise this road is a bit of a hotspot for paranormal investigators. Next up at number 3 now, we have the A229. This road in southeast England attracts paranormal investigators for one famous story, the woman in white. Drivers have reported seeing a woman in a white dress appearing in front of their car and then just vanishing as they pass through her. Locals say it's the ghost of a woman called Judith Langham, who was tragically knocked down on the road on her wedding day in 1965. Next up at number 2 now, we have Boy Scout Lane. Sounds pretty innocent, right? Well, this rural road in Wisconsin has some less than innocent stories attached to it. According to local legend, it gets its name from a tragedy that happened there years ago when a troop of Boy Scouts died there on a camping trip in the 1950s. Locals say the boys' ghosts now haunt that lane. If you go there one day to check it out, just be warned that the road is actually a dead end with no way out. Very fitting for a road with such a paranormal past. And finally, number 1 now, we have the street with no name. In the west side of Sydney, Australia, lies the street with no name. Locals say it has an evil air to it at night, with many people reporting an eerie presence. There's been stories of dogs and small children behaving very strangely there. Paranormal investigators say this is because they are less inhibited in their connection to the spirit world. All of this may be because of some of the horrific crimes that have taken place there over the years. Multiple murders and bodies being dumped in the nearby water. Whatever it is, it keeps horror tourists coming back to the street with no name.